Hello and welcome to the Uneducated PT Podcast with me, your host, Carl O'Rourke. The goal of this podcast is to bring on interesting and knowledgeable people from all walks of life, learn a little something from each conversation, and for you, the listener, to learn something from each episode. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, press the box below, show some support, and I'll see you on the next episode. Okay, before we get started, can you tell the listeners a little bit about your background, how you got into the fitness industry, what you do today, and why you do it?
Yeah, giddy up, Carl. Well, listen, thanks for having me on the podcast, lad. This is, I'm sure we're going to have a good old chat today. So I'm originally a Roscommon man. I've been living out of Ireland for the last 14 years. I lived in Melbourne for a while. But to kind of give you the backstory, and I'll make it brief because I could make it fucking shocking long, and who wants to be hearing all the details? But I went to college. Civil engineering is what I studied. Didn't pursue that, but went into IT technician. I worked on Pearse Street in Dublin for a while. And I figured out very, very quickly that sitting at a desk wasn't for me. So while I was working in the IT company, I studied neuromuscular therapy, and that led me on to getting into PT. So kind of, I don't know if you remember the guy Kelly Starrett. That used to do the stuff with CrossFit. I used to do that stuff with clients, like rehab, ball work, and I used to just, regurgitate everything Kelly Starrett used to say. He was my god at the time. And from there, I worked on cruise ships where I got introduced more to CrossFit, which is, we're talking back in 2008 at this stage, where CrossFit was just only a website still. But because I was working on cruise ships, I was exposed to a lot of Californian.
What cruise ships were you on?
Oh, 3 different ones. I started on Princess Cruise Lines and then moved over to. So that my first cruise was from San Pedro port in Los Angeles to Hawaii. 4 days at sea to get there, and then 6 days flying around the islands, and then 4 days back. It was a long cruise, but a great crack. Great crack. Yeah. So yeah, got introduced to CrossFit from the clientele that would be coming on the ship. Then from the ship, pretty much saved up enough money to move to Australia. Moved out to Australia. CrossFit was going on here. Kind of got into a gym and set up my own little boot camps, which evolved into CrossFit. And yeah, I ended up running and owning my own CrossFit gym for 10 years in Melbourne.
Where I was living in Melbourne. I actually left during COVID as well. I was down on Carlisle Street. Where were you based?
I was over the west in Williamstown. That's where my gym was. Yeah. So you have St Kilda over the eastern suburbs, and that's where all the Irish land to first. You have your Jimmy O'Neill's and whatnot and all that sort of crack. But yeah, for me, I knew when I got there, because I'd just been on cruise ships and done a year on cruise ships, and I landed in Melbourne. I was exhausted because cruise ships was just a party lifestyle.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Oh, best crack, but just burnt me out. So I got to Melbourne and I literally just rested I pretty much slept in my mate's house for the first 2 months I was there. Yeah. Didn't really do much traveling, just got into work, and it kind of snowballed. And before I knew it, I had a fucking gym.
How did you find running a business abroad, and even kind of because it's difficult to start a business anywhere, but especially away from home where your connections are probably a little bit less.
Carl, it was 100% by accident. I was working in this gym. I was doing PT sessions. Yeah. I was gaining clients. The Irish accent worked well for me. Then I started kind of adopting into turning these boot camp classes I was doing into CrossFit, because I was learning more about CrossFit. I got qualified as a CrossFit level 1 over there. And, then all of a sudden I was buying in equipment because I leased out a corner in the gym. And then I started to charge, rather than charge like my clientele for individual sessions. I was like, okay, I'm just going to put you on a membership because we're doing this as a group and it's on a specific time. So all of a sudden I had members paying me a weekly debit. And then lo and behold, lads and lassies that I was coaching started saying to me, why don't you just get your own warehouse? Why don't you just why don't you branch out here? And I was like, no, this is grand. This is fine the way it's going here. How do you even do that? Funny circumstance bubbled up with the gym that I was working in. The owner actually sold the gym. So these new guys took it over, and didn't quite see eye to eye with them. I think they thought I was doing something shifty. I was taking a membership, but I had actually organized with the original owner that he gets a percentage of what I earn from the client. So, but we didn't see eye to eye. So that was my cue. Let's get the fuck out of here.
They gave you the push. They gave you the push that you probably needed.
100%. 100%. Yeah. We moved out of there, moved all the equipment, got a small little warehouse. It's only a tiny little place. Within 6 months, we outgrew that new location. It was mental. Things just skyrocketed for us. And it just so happened that there was another warehouse just around the corner, way bigger, double the size, way more expensive as well. But I just viewed it and got talking to the agent that was looking after it. And we just got on well, and I threw a random wild number, not what he wanted. And he was like, no, can't do that. As we were leaving the warehouse, he got to the door. He didn't open the door. He turned around, if we sign paperwork this evening, would you have a deposit from me? I was like, oh, yes, yeah. Let's do it. Bang. We had a warehouse. I shat myself.
Yeah.
Because it was way more expensive and it was way bigger. But fuck me, like, we done it. So that was our new location, and we were there for a good 8 years in that new location. And it's funny, it's still going now because I sold it during COVID. So new blood has taken it over, and I'm happy to say that the CrossFit Westgate flag is still flying high.
What did that do for your confidence?
The new warehouse or the selling it?
Going from working in a gym to almost running that gym to then taking over a premises, then to taking over an even bigger premises, because they sound like stepping stones the whole way up to like taking more and more risk.
Yeah, I never actually thought about it until you've kind of like said it that way. It was just kind of taking a chance.
Like, do you think let's say if you had first got over to Melbourne before you had even, started training people, and you had just got off the cruise ships, like, I presume you wouldn't have thought in your wildest dreams that, okay, I'm going to take over this massive premises with this massive bill coming in every week that I have to make sure I have this amount of people coming through the door so I can, because it's for entrepreneurs and business owners, like, you have to have a degree of self-esteem and confidence and be able to back yourself to go after them kind of things.
Yeah, and just pure chance as well, I'll say, because there was none of this was planned out.
Yeah,
none of this was plotted. It's just like something happened, I reacted.
Yeah.
Something happened, I reacted again. Something happened, I reacted. And lo and behold, you're in a situation you were like, oh, Jesus. But you make it work. You fucking make it work. And that's kind of something I definitely sits with me now. I always hear my clients is like, oh, I can't, like, we can't go on holidays this year, or we can't do that because I don't have the money now. So we'll put it off. My mentality is, I'm going to do it however I can. So if it's like I've mentioned about money, if it's a money thing, let's say there's something I want to go to, let's say Ibiza. And this actually happened 2 years ago when a mate of mine I just moved back to Ireland. He had planned, let's go to Ibiza. And I was like, oh, fuck, okay. I looked at my bank account at the time. There wasn't a lot of money in it. But I said, yeah, fuck it, I'm in. I just got the flights. I booked the flights. He said, I'll book the hotel and we'll sort it out. It just turned out like I had about 8 weeks until we were flying out. Well, in that 8 weeks, with my business and everything, I managed to accumulate $7,000.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, if I had said no because that $7,000 wasn't in my account, well, I wouldn't have got to experience Ibiza that time. So it's the way I operate now. It's just my default. I'll shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah. You'll find your way to make it work, but you have to go all in on the thing.
100%. 100%. Yeah, it's the philosophy that I just follow. And I follow it kind of by accident now. I just find myself I'll say yes to something that I'm excited about, and I'll figure the rest out as I go.
But that saying yes and figuring out as you go stems probably from being able to back yourself, because you have confidence, because you have the evidence that it's worked for you before.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think the only way it wouldn't work for a person in any way is if you just don't try.
Yeah.
You know, you book that flight and you're like, well, now you know you're going. So what has to happen in between to get you there? It's like,
now you have to reverse engineer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, if you booked the flight and just sat in your hands and just complained, because you could sit in the pub with your mates and go, oh, fuck, I'm after booking this flight to fucking Ibiza. I'm going in 8 weeks. Oh, where the fuck am I going to get the money? Yet you're handing over $50 or €50 every time for a fucking round of beer.
Yeah.
That's not the solution. No. There is a solution, but that's not the one.
Well, I do that with clients a lot of the times who say they might say something to me. I'm not a runner, but I'd love to run. And then I'm like, okay, we're signing you up for a half marathon. They're like, Kyle, I haven't even ran 5K. And don't worry, we'll make it long enough that we reverse engineer it. So like you're going to start running because you know you have this thing in 3 months time, 6 months time, 9 months time. So now you're going to reverse engineer, and all them times that you didn't go out for that walk, you're probably going to go for that walk because there's pressure now. Or all them times that you didn't run a 2K or a 3K, you probably will now. And you'll probably start to eat a little bit better now because you know that's going to contribute to you having this thing at the end of the journey. And you're probably going to get to bed a little bit earlier rather than going out and having them couple of drinks. And all them little decisions accumulate to then them being able to run or do something that they never thought they could do.
100%. It's like putting the carrot, but it's actually a proper carrot. It's something that they actually want to do. They actually want to get to because they have said it. They've mentioned it. So yeah, 100% agree. So good.
So what happened next then? So obviously you were working in Melbourne. You had your own gym for the last 8 years. You sold it. How did you feel about selling it? Were you content? Was there a bit of sadness about it? How did you feel? That's essentially your baby, right?
Was 100%. So funny. It was, I had gone to Bali in 2018 and I met a load of Irish people over there doing the online thing. I was like, wow, like this is the life. And kind of it hit me that I had moved the whole way across the other side of the world, and I was working in a business where I was in a concrete block, a concrete warehouse. And my concrete warehouse looked directly into the belly of another concrete warehouse. I'm like, wow, is this my Australia? Is this what I moved the whole way the other side of the world for? I felt like I was like, I've nailed my feet to the floor here. So I said, right, something has to change here. Maybe what I can do is set the gym up and run it remotely. Go to Bali in 2020. That was my plan. So I went to Bali in 2018 on a Sonny Webster Olympic weightlifting camp. Brilliant crack. And then I was like, right, what the plan is, I'm going to spend the next couple of months or the half a year setting up the gym in a way that I could run it remotely. Well, the plan was to go back to Bali in 2020 for like a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. Not that far away that I couldn't just get back if I needed to. But of course, the world had other ideas. COVID came up and kicked us all in the dick. So I was like, shite, right, well, Bali isn't happening. So closed the gym down, as like every other business had to do, and started doing the online thing then.
Were you doing the online thing while you were in Melbourne?
I hadn't started it. I hadn't started any online. No, it was 100% driven by COVID. But the idea was already in my head to try and run the gym remotely. That was always there. It's like, how can I separate myself from the business so I can, do more traveling, see more things. So it was a funny thing, like COVID was a little bit of a blessing and a curse. Number one, I had to shut my business down. I felt like I lost my purpose. And that was for the first time I realized I was in the right industry, because my purpose was taken away from me. And that couple of weeks where you didn't know what the fuck was going on, am I going to have to go back studying? Am I going to have to go on the tools, go back to engineering, go back to IT? And I was like, I don't want that. I don't want any of those things. I've invested the last 15 years in this industry. It's this or die. And that's when I knew, I was like, right, fuck, we got to make this work. So I said, I got to try something different here. And of course, the online thing was the only avenue to go during COVID. And through bit by bit, trying different things, trying a lot of stuff that didn't fucking work, and then trying other things, and then getting mentorship in it, and eventually figuring it out, got to the point where it was up and running. And I was like, there was a month where I made this massive chunk of revenue, and I didn't need a warehouse. I didn't need to pay staff. I didn't need to pay rates. I didn't have all these fucking expenses. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing here? So it's hilarious. Like one of my coaches actually kind of seen what was going on between opening up and closing down and opening up, and Melbourne done the longest lockdown. So we were fucking closed and open for ages. So he's seen that I was the online thing that I was going, and he actually made an offer. He was like, are you going to continue the gym, or do you want me to buy it off you? I was like, buy it. Yeah, take it off me. So I
was this an Irishman or an Aussie?
No, an Aussie. He was one of my coaches. Yeah, so
and he bought it off you during lockdown as well. When Melbourne had like 3 big, huge lockdowns, didn't they?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we're all doing fantastic at the start, and then it just went to tits. But we knew, all the people knew that it wasn't going to last the way it was going, because at the start it was all in the news. Oh, we're in 0 cases. Oh, we're doing so great, but. Like, look at the rest of the world. We can't avoid what's going on there. Then we ended up doing the longest one.
Doing the longest, yeah. Because I remember I had just got over to Melbourne, and I was there for like 6 months, and I left when obviously everything started to come in the news and airlines were shutting down. I was like, right, I'm going home. And then I remember seeing on the news all the Melbourne citizens like up in arms about how tough their lockdown was, and I was like, wow, I made the right decision going home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, that lockdown, living in Melbourne ruined Melbourne a little bit for me. And I kind of talk about it now. That's why I've moved up to the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
Because I feel COVID has actually ruined living in the city for me.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me before COVID, I would have told you Melbourne was home.
Yeah.
Happy out in it. But after what happened then, I was like, no, I'm not about it. Then, of course, moved back to Ireland, got super comfortable in the wide open spaces of Roscompton. And so when I came back to Australia, I was like, I got to move away. I got to move away from Melbourne. And everyone was saying, you need to go to the Sunshine Coast. Wide open spaces, chill lifestyle. You'll love it. They weren't wrong.
So tell me, so obviously you transitioned into the online coaching. So tell me how you ended up deciding on, the niche that you're working with. Like, I know you run the Alpha Clan. So tell me a little bit about where the idea for that came from.
Okay. So when I started the online thing first, I was just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what stuck, because I wasn't sure of how it worked. But I got mentorship, and they always spoke about, figuring out your niche and, narrowing it down. And at the beginning, I just didn't know who I could have worked with. So I just launched a program, and I was getting men and women. And it was good, got results with people. But the more I went down the rabbit hole of creating the program and getting results, the more I discovered that men and women are completely different in what they require. And now when I was running the gym, I actually, it's funny, I feel like a charlatan now, because I was just tarring everyone with the one brush. Everyone come in, everyone's doing the same thing regardless, because you're not focused on sleeping or nutrition or anything like that. You're just focusing on the exercise.
Yeah. It's not really about behavior change or anything like that. It's about, getting people in and just getting them moving and getting them training.
100%. So yeah, through slowly working with more mentors and, really understanding this niche and down, maybe a year and a half ago, I said, right, okay, let's just solely work with men. And since I have made that move over, the making of the content for social media, the way I deliver the program, the how I look at it's I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's definitely way more streamlined. And I feel the way it's streamlined because I am 100% qualified as a man.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope so, but I'm creating what I felt I needed
Yeah.
as a youngster growing up, and even as an adult, because it doesn't matter what age we are, we still need direction, right?
100%, 100%. And you know what? It sounds like an obvious thing, but it's actually, if people who know who run a business, it's actually a scary risk to take, because you think to yourself that, well, if I'm, cutting off half of the population from wanting to work with me, I'm, turning down business, and and I need to make money to make my business work. But actually, like, once you actually do that, and you're talking to essentially it makes it a lot easier to resonate with people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't feel like, I know you are, I always get the odd message now and again, oh, why don't you work with women? And some people take it, maybe offense to it, when I'm like, it's not that it's not that I'm saying, no, I refuse to work with you. I'm just saying I will work better with these group of people over here, because I'm not specialized in what you need. It's not my wheelhouse, but there is people that can help you, and I can direct you to them, but I'm going to stay in my lane, if that's all right.
Yeah. So what are some of the struggles that the men that you work with have when coming to work with you?
The big key word that always pops up is structure.
Mm-hmm.
Structure. I'm lacking structure. I don't have structure. I'm lost. I'm in a rush. I don't know what to do. My food, I don't have structure around my food. I don't have structure around my gym. I don't know what to do if I was to start in the gym. There's actually, it's lacking, again, coming back to change the word structure, but direction. It's like, what? There's so much information out there, and I don't know what to do. And I know I've been stuck with myself in business. What do I need to do in business? I'm not a business person. I wasn't a business person at the start, but I tried to do it myself, and you're getting snippets of information in different places. You're trying to glue it all together, but it's just clunky, and it's not efficient, and it takes you longer. So I look at it like, you get the business person to help you, and they're like, okay, well, you've got ABC going quite well. Let's just smooth it out. And this is what we can do to smooth out the transition between A and B and C. And you're like, holy hell, now I understand. So I suppose that's my role. It's like, right, what is your structure? What are you doing? Okay, let me make a couple of suggestions here. Let's see if that structure, this new structure now works for you. And we'll run with it for a couple of weeks. And if not, you know what? If it doesn't work, we'll scrap it, we'll build another one. And we'll keep doing it, and keep doing it until something starts to stick.
Yeah, one of the quotes that I was going to quote you on was, you said that my greatest weakness is trying to do it all by myself. And then one of the questions I was going to ask is, as men, do you think we find it hard to reach out and ask for that help?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
In several situations with my gym, 2016 with my gym, CrossFit Westgate, was the worst year the gym ever had. And it's funny, came home at Christmas time, 2015, rang in the new year, and I had said to a few people, it's going to be the best year I've ever had. But I had all these ideas in my head of what I was going to do, but there was no real structure behind them. And in actual fact, it was the worst year the gym ever had. So the end of 2016, I actually got business coaching. 2017 was the best year the gym ever had, because I reached out, and I will forever do that. I have to remind myself to ask for help now, because I will always get some form of mentoring. I think my choice in getting mentors now has got way more specific. Before it would have been very general, very like, okay, just give me the overall like vision of what I need to do. But now I'll specifically work with, like I'm working with Lewis Potts at the moment, you know, because he's like specifically on helping you become a better coach. There was a young chap I hired recently to help me with automations for my business. Like I know what I need in my business now, but rather than me kind of just trying to string it together myself, no, I'm going to get the people to help me to do it.
Do you
And
think that comes? Do you think that reaching out for help and knowing what you need help in, that comes from a lot of self-awareness?
It comes from a lot of, it would come from a lot of self-awareness, but it comes from the fact that I haven't stopped reaching out to people now.
Yeah.
You know, I've had mentors since 2016, pretty much nearly every single year, and different ones. And the more mentors you go through, some are fantastic, some you're going to learn a heap from, others you learn less from, but you're always taking something away. You're always taking, and you level yourself up. And now, just because of my experience working with people and seeing where my business goes to and where I go to on a personal level, it's always positive. It's always positive. So I can't see myself ever stopping getting mentorship. I don't know, even when I retire, I'll get a mentor to show me how I should retire properly. Not that I plan on retiring, but I just see the value in it. I see the value in.
Well, I think that's emphasize that point. You see the value in it. I suppose people that don't see the value in it are people who have never reached out for help or had a mentor.
That's it. You know, or maybe there's the obstacle, you know, or will this work for me? Or, oh, I don't know, I'm not too sure. Or maybe it's too much of a financial commitment. There's always a block. There's always
Where do you think that comes from? Is that a lack of self-esteem, lack of confidence?
It will be. It's you've had an experience somewhere in the past. You've had something that you've maybe forked out for, something you've given a crack at, and you thought it was going to give you the answer, and it didn't. And I suppose my response to that is, okay, try again. Because it's like you go on a date for the first time, or your first date with anyone. Is that going to be the best date you ever have? No, it's like continual dates with the one person. The dates get better. You get to know each other over time. It takes time. One experience with something doesn't make it or break it. Doesn't mean it was the only way it's going to unfold. Doesn't mean it's the worst way it's going to unfold. It's just an experience you've had. Try again. Try again.
So you said that one thing that the men that come to you looking for help, one thing that they're lacking in is structure. Is there anything else that men need to feel better about themselves, to improve the quality of their life?
Well, a big area I work in is hormones, testosterone. Okay, that's the big thing for men. It's the essence of a man. It's what makes you, and it's what makes me. Now, there's several ways to look at this, but my approach is always lifestyle. Let's look at your lifestyle and let's improve it. A big part of my business and how I operate my coaching is, lads, let's do bloods. Let's look at your blood work. Let's see what's going on. Let's look under the hood, because you can tell me what's going on, and you might say, all right, well, I'm not motivated. I'm gaining weight to beat the band. I'm depressed. I'm anxious. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just do all these things over here and see what happens. But if we also, while we're doing all the things, look under the hood and actually do a blood test. It's because I work with a lot of guys that are between the ages of 35 and 60. So they're lads that are getting on in life. And typically around that age, we're seeing a decline in testosterone anyway. Now,
seeing it even in younger men at the moment as well.
Yes. There's a funny statistic. It's something like 20-year-old men nowadays in the 2000s have lower testosterone than men in the 80s in their 60s. Men of the 80s.
What in your opinion? What do you think is contributing to that?
Oh yes, this is the big one. Lots of things have changed over the last 20 years. Diets have changed. The way we work has changed. Yeah. Our fathers and their fathers We're all working on tools. We're all building stuff. Most people are now sitting behind a desk, so what they're putting into their bodies has changed, and their activity level. And then also, people aren't sleeping. People are not sleeping properly anymore. People are addicted to devices. People are watching Netflix. People are staying awake all night. People are loading themselves up on caffeine. There's all of these things. Men and women are suffering. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's the early morning for you, so that's all right.
Yeah, it's only 11 o'clock for me. It'll be cut out by 4, I swear.
Exactly. But it's those like basic things that are getting kind of just disjointed that little bit, that are affecting people's quality of lives.
Yeah. The society is designed now for people to be inactive, to be up all night, and obviously these things all impact your testosterone.
100%. Well, you can just pick up your phone right now, click a button on it, not leave your chair, and food will be delivered to you.
Yeah.
And you can continue to work and just repeat, not even see daylight. Yeah, all these things play a factor, and they are ruining testosterone levels.
And so I presume then, obviously, with joining your program and with these men focusing on their improving lifestyle factors, getting better quality sleep, getting them to move more, getting them to train, getting them to lift weights, this all impacts their testosterone in a positive way.
Absolutely. So it's a wild thing with testosterone. So let's say I've taken a guy, we've looked under the hood, and we see his testosterone is really low. It's not bottomed out, it's not in a negative range, but it's low. So he's not feeling the best. Now, the likelihood of him being in that range for the last 5 or 6 years is high. Your testosterone level doesn't just drop down overnight. It slowly decreases. Now, we don't need to take him up to a high level for him to feel good.
Yeah.
We just need to take him up 1 or 2 points. Now, we've looked under the hood. We've done 6 to 8 weeks of changing the lifestyle. We look under the hood again. Now, as I said, we'll only see the testosterone level jump up a little bit, but he's a different man. He's motivated. He has energy. He's training in the gym. He's present with his kids. He's like, I feel like I'm on testosterone. I was like, exactly, because that little nudge that little lifestyle adjustment that we've made, you're now sleeping better, you're now eating better, has allowed your production of testosterone to upregulate. And because it's been so low for so long, that little nudge has made a massive difference.
Yeah, do you think that's impacted the quality of the relationships in these men's lives?
With their partner and their kids? 100%. 100%. They're coming home from work at the moment, and there'll be guys listening to this. You're coming home from work and you're drained. You're having a meg left in you, and you get home and all you want to do is sit on the couch and watch telly. You're not present. Your missus is probably giving out to you because you've done all your things at work, but she asked you to get milk on the way home and you fucking forgot it because your head's up your hole. And your kids are pulling and dragging out you, and they want to play ball, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll be out in a minute. But yet all you're able to do is sit on the couch and scroll on your phone. You don't have the up and the drive in you. You get a man now that's more organized on his daily life, because if your testosterone levels are optimized, you think clearer. If you think clearer, you're going to be more productive. If you're more productive in the day, you're getting a lot more work done and you're not bringing that shit home with you. Then when you do come home, guess what? You have energy and you haven't forgot the milk.
It's a ripple effect, isn't it? Like you make one positive action and that produces a positive outcome. You feel better, you produce another one, and then it can go the other way as well with people. It's like, okay, I scrolled on my phone, I got a bad night's sleep, I'm wrecked the next day, I haven't moved all day because I'm wrecked, I'm hungrier now, so I'm eating hyperpalatable foods, I'm gaining a little bit of weight, it's harder to move now again, and it can spiral one way, or it can trend upwards depending on what action you take.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And our job as coaches is to just view whatever cycle that they're in and just interrupt it. Just interrupt it for a second and be, oh, hold on, what can we do here? And that one little thing, it's always one thing. Start doing one thing and Jesus, that's it. If they can keep doing the one thing, it might be, I don't know, you could pick a plethora of different things. Start eating breakfast in the morning, go for a little bit of a walk, put your phone away an hour before you go to bed. Just something simple, but just do one of those things, one thing. 6 weeks later, they're different human.
And it's like people fail to understand that even though it might be simple advice, just because something's simple doesn't mean it's easy.
I know. Sure, that's the mistake I'd be making with business at the start, is trying to do the big things, set up an email list, organize the direct debits, put classes together, set up the website. Oh, crazy, trying to do it all at once. No, it's a small step, the small steps that make the greatest change.
You said your number one priority shouldn't be your family or your partner. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So as men, we will mostly get our fulfillment in life from being of service in some way, shape, or form. It's the male energy, it's the male essence. We're problem solvers at heart. We want to be able to fix things. Now, if you take your focus away from that problem solving or being a service provider and focus on something else like kids or your partner, and that's what happens a lot of times. It's like, oh, I need to look after these. You stop doing what gives you fulfillment. You take your eye off the direction that you're going. And what in turn happens is your direction starts to slip. You don't serve and provide as well as you can. Therefore, you don't make cash. You don't look after the thing that you're supposed to be doing. So this kind of starts to disintegrate. Then what happens over here, because you're fully focused on family and kids, is that those relationships start to disintegrate because you're now more frustrated. You're not fulfilled in your actual life. So what happens is everyone suffers. Everyone suffers down the chain. It's super important for a man to figure out what his purpose is. And his purpose is going to be in some form of service. Whether you're a plumber, a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, that is service. You are in a service to other people. You're giving back, you're helping. Within there, you will find your purpose. In doing so, because you are taking care of these people over here, you're going to get that fulfillment. You're going to feel good about yourself. If you feel good about yourself, what's going to happen is everyone around you in your immediate circle is going to get looked after because of that.
Yeah.
So your wife and your kids, they're going to get your attention, but your attention is going to come in the form of your presence with them because you're now a more complete man. So I was
listening to a podcast there the other day, and it was a really good. Your man was talking about an interaction he had with a therapist, and she was saying to him, she was like, okay, you're your friend to your friend, and you're your partner to your partner, and you're the father to your son, and so on. But who are you to yourself?
Yeah.
And it made me think, it's like, how many times do, especially men with families, they're providing everything for their family, for their kids, for everyone else, but they're not looking after themselves. And, downstream from that is probably, destruction.
I had a very interesting experience with Jerry Hussey. He's Jerry, yeah, he's Ireland's answer to the soul coach. Exactly right. I went to one of his gatherings in Kildare, and it was amazing. So to give the brief outline, he took us all through this meditation in the middle of it. And the meditation was just you relaxing your body, but after a while it was like, right, you're in the room on your own. And everyone else around you has gone away. It's just you now sitting on this seat. And then someone's going to walk in the back of the room and you're going to know them. Now, on the lead up to this meditation, he had kept talking about, like, the person that has the answer is yourself. You have the answer that you're looking for. So as we went into this meditation, he said, right, there's a person that has walked in the room. And as they walk up closer to you, you kind of feel more familiar with them. For some reason, you know them. But you're not going to turn around, you're not going to look at them. Then they're going to come around, they're going to put their right hand on, or their hand on your left or right shoulder, and you're going to feel that. And I was in this now. As he was talking me through it, I was like, yeah, I'm here. Like, I'm in the room on my own, but I can sense this person. So he said, this person is going to walk around in front of you. And when you open your eyes, you're going to recognize them. And when I opened my eyes, it was myself. It was myself in front of me, but it was my 12-year-old self. And he said, whoever's in front of you right now, because he'd set this all up, he was like, you have the answer. And the answer is going to come from you. So he said, I'm going to count down from 5. And in 5 seconds, you're going to hear exactly what you need to hear from this person. And listen up carefully. In 4 seconds, are you ready to hear? In 3. Now I'm thinking to myself, shit, am I going to have to talk to myself? Like what's going to, there's no one in front of me. It's just me, But yeah, when he hit 1, Carl, when he hit 1, what came out of my mouth was, I'm proud of you. And that just hit me. There was emotion after, there was tears. The people around me, they were in tears as well. But that was a massive changing point in my life, because I would have lived a life of looking after everyone else first, or else kind of on this self-destruct pattern where, I require people's validation. I'd be always the one at the bar saying, here, fucking, let's have pints. I'd be buying the shots for everyone because I didn't want people to fuck off. I wanted them to stay out with me and all this sort of stuff. And I knew then why I was doing all that, because I required people to give me the pat on the back. I was looking for people to be proud of me. And it goes deeper into family stuff there, and I know where it comes from. But once I said that to myself, shit just changed. I stopped this people-pleasing stuff. I stopped the drinking. I stopped the whole persona that came along with that. And I started looking after me. I started putting myself first. And that has made all of the difference. Everything, my clients that I work with, my family now, everything just gets looked after way better, because now I'm proud of what I do. I'm proud of me. I put myself as number one.
One thing that I picked up there, especially, was when you said people pleasing. Would you say that's something that a lot of men in your program deal with or suffer with?
I very much think so. Yeah, it's you don't want to. The way I approach it is, I call it the yes man syndrome. You're a yes man, and the lads will be there. Yeah, they'll be nodding their heads. Yeah. Fucking this fella asked me to do this. I fucking do it. I say, yeah, you're giving out about it, because that resentment is built up because you have said yes. You could have said no. But it feeds into that people please. You tell a lad he's a people pleaser, he'll be like, fuck you. What are you fucking saying that to me for?
Yeah, that's the therapist terminology.
That's right.
But the yes man is very much more tradesman.
Yeah, because they say it themselves. Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm fucking being the yes man again. Yeah. Jesus.
Or like if you wanted to say it, like, if say you're talking to that, I'm too nice to that lad,
That's right. That's right. So I always approach it from that angle, and I just give my story. I give my story about the way I used to be. So to give the background, my parents would have split up when I was younger, and you see your parents go separate ways, and you do whatever you think you should be doing to try and keep them together. But no matter what happens, they leave. So I created this behavior when I went to college and whatnot. If I drink, I'm a fun guy. People hang out with me. Well, that means I create this relationship with alcohol. That means that I need to be out drinking all the time, partying, and that's what keeps people close. And that's what makes me feel good. So that was my behavior I got into. And then I talked to lads about that with themselves. I was like, have you ever been told you've done a good job? Have you been ever told that someone's proud of you, because we experience as fellas, like, you go to secondary school and it's like, be quiet, like speak when you're spoken to. And if you do speak out of turn, if you're not putting up your hand, giving the correct answer at the correct time, you're sent out in the hall and you're put out there on your own. And that's your experience as an adolescent of rejection. And it's a man's biggest fear. You don't want to be rejected. You don't want to be cast out. You need to be in the group. So to remain in the group, you become a yes man. It's our defense. And that sticks with us. It goes the whole way from, going out in the pub, even if you don't really want to, you're going to go anyway. Someone rings you, you've finished your day's work, it's 9:00 at night, someone rings you, oh, there's a pipe burst, can you call it? Oh, yeah, I'll be down in 2 minutes, And then you'd hang up the phone, that fucking bollocks, that fucking pipe, But we do it because there's something there that we haven't quite healed, or we haven't quite heard. And for me, that when I told myself I was proud of me, that was my healing. I didn't need to hear anyone tell me they were proud of me anymore. I didn't need to hear it from my dad. I didn't need to hear it from my mom. I don't need to hear it from my partner. I don't need to hear it from anyone, because it's coming from within me now. I don't need external validation. So that's a big part of the journey I take lads on. It's just trying to get them to understand that. But it's a slow process.
Well, my next question was going to be, for someone who might not have this huge revelation of why they behave the way they behave, but we know that they're a yes man, we know that they're a people pleaser, and we know that that's actually impacting their physical health, their testosterone. So how can people go about being less of a yes man?
Okay, so there's a very simple start, because I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not going to be like psychoanalyzing people. I will just give my own more
even just practical advice for.
Yeah. So this is always my advice, and I do this in my seminars. It's like, right, rather than responding immediately with yes, because the immediate response is, oh, yeah, I'll get it done. I was like, right, change your response. The response from now on is going to be, let me get back to you. Okay? So what you've done there is you haven't said no, you haven't committed, and now you've given yourself time. And what you can, you've taken the pressure, and it's always on yourself. Because if you say yes to something, and you normally will say yes really, really quick, and then you'll be like, bollocks, I've double booked myself, or it's something, and then you're like, now you've added double the stress, because now you have to say no, or you have to cancel something else, and it just becomes a shit show. So I just said, make every response, even if you 100% know that you still can do the thing, still respond with, let me get back to you. Make that the default. And then an hour later, 2 hours later, whatever, you can send the message and you can say, right, I actually can, or I actually can't. And that's where we start.
Well, like it is a nice little stepping stone, because just saying no straight away, I can't do it, or I don't want to do it, that, like, for some people, that is that's too difficult to do.
It's so un-Irish.
It really is, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We as Irish people, we go out of our way to help people.
Yeah.
And help each other, even though you'll get people giving out about it. Oh, for fuck's sake, helping this, but we'll still do it. We'll still do it. It's just the Irish thing. But yeah, rather than overloading your plate and stressing yourself out to the bollocks, let me get back to you. Very simple. And it's a start. And then you get more and more comfortable, and it goes from there.
And then also it's like, okay, now that you're saying no to things that you don't want to do, you have the opportunity to say yes to things that you do want to do, or things that you now have time to do, like focusing on yourself, like focusing on your health, and all the positive benefits that come from that downstream.
Absolutely. Because I think that Lewis put us onto that book, The Coaching Habits. And it's like, if you say yes to something, ask yourself the question, what are you saying no to? Because this is always the thing, someone makes that phone call late at night for you to come over and help them with that burst pipe. Well, what are you saying? If you say yes to them, what are you saying no to? Or you're saying no to time with your wife, time with your kids, a quality time that you're not getting back. You're not getting back. So always frame it that way in your head. If I'm saying yes, what am I saying no to?
Yeah, when you break it down like that, it makes it easier to say no to them things. Because a lot of the times we don't look at the hidden cost.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So what advice would you have then for your younger self?
Oh, yeah.
I suppose we've almost really gone into it.
Yeah. Like, if it's to go off what we're saying there about the pride, it's like, okay, well, just be yourself and don't worry about what people think. Don't worry about it. But could you imagine saying that to 12-year-old Damien? Could you imagine, or like even you'd be like, what do you mean? Like,
sometimes like advice is helpful, but experience is truly helpful.
That's right. I fully believe that everything I've been through in my life was fucking perfect. It was meant to be there. There's been ups and downs and wibbles and wobbles. I've dealt with them. As they've happened. So if I was to give advice to my younger self, knowing what I know of myself and where I've got to, I'd be like, giddy up, son, keep going. Drive it like you stole it.
It is true though, isn't it? Because it's like when you come full circle, even the moments that were difficult in your life were actually a blessing. Yes.
I fully believe that. You gain a resilience, you gain knowledge. Like, there was an example I've given to someone there recently, just on something that happened in my life not too long ago. Me getting my permanent visa in Australia. So I was on a de facto visa with an Australian girl. We actually split up during that. So it was kind of a thing, like, what's going to happen with the visa? But it was already in processing. And fair play to her, she said, yeah, we'll still go for it. I'm still happy to help you out. And I was like, you bloody legend. But there was that period of time where I was just expecting the immigration to ring me and be like, you've got 28 days to leave. And I was like, I shat a brick. And that process lasted 2 years. Now, in that time, my brain went through all the scenarios of if that phone call did happen. And so I got the visa, everything was grand. I've actually got my Australian citizenship there recently, so I'm pretty much a true blue Aussie now. But when I came back to Ireland after COVID, I was already ready to go. Because I had previously gone through all these scenarios of, if I get kicked out of Australia, what's going to happen? When I landed back to Ireland just after COVID, my business was up and running in not even 2 weeks, in a week. And I was like, a little bit of me was like, what the fuck? But I do a lot of journaling, so I was doing a lot of reflecting. It's because of all that, all those anxious nights, all that stressful thinking. It actually paid dividends. It actually had set me up because I was now playing out one of the scenarios. You know what I mean?
You were ready to go then.
Ready to hit the ground running.
So you said that obviously that you're a big advocate of reaching out for help, investing in yourself, investing in mentors. So I suppose my next question would be like, what's one piece of advice that has stuck with you that you've received off a mentor, a friend, someone in business, anything that springs to mind?
Yes, my first mentor and friend as well, because he owned a CrossFit gym at the time too. Scott Wade is his name. He's an Australian fella over here in Melbourne, and it's when my gym was at rock bottom, 2016, I hired him through the affiliate solution, and he came to my gym for 3 days and he just basically dismantled everything. But in that 3 days, he got to know me more, and got to understand bits and pieces of me. And I used to talk about, what I was doing prior to me giving this 110% commitment to the gym, which that's what I done. That 2016, I said, right, I'm 100% focusing on the gym. I'm not going to do anything else. And I used to like my raves and all that sort of, I was like, no, everything else is getting pushed to the sideline. And as I said, it was the worst year the gym ever had. He said this to me, Damien, you need to get out of your own way. I was like, what do you mean? He said, you've given up parts of yourself that give you something, that fill up your cup, that give you fulfillment. You need to get back to doing them. And he was not wrong. So it was, as I said, 2017 was the best year the gym ever had. And the start of that year, I rang in that new year at a rave. For myself. And I went along myself because at the time there was no one else that would really go along with me. So I went myself. And it was this 4-day rave in Australia and I had a fucking great time. And I tell you, like, he wasn't wrong. We are our own obstacles. I always talk about, because pretty much I'm not a teetotaler off the drink, but I have really pulled way back in it. And when I moved back to Ireland, I struggled with, telling people, oh, I'm not drinking because, there's almost that expectation.
Yeah.
But you know what? Do you know what it was, Carl? It wasn't the people. It was the debate in my own fucking head. I was having this debate. Will I drink? Won't I drink? What'll I do? I'll wait till I get in there and decide when I go in there. No, just don't bother. Don't bother at all. Or they'll expect you. What'll I do? I'm like, shut the fuck up. Am I drinking or am I not? They don't give a shit, and they don't. As soon as you go in there, someone might say, oh, you're not drinking, you all right? But that's it. It's done. And then after that, once they know you're not drinking, happy days.
Once you're sure of yourself, everyone else is going to be sure of you.
Bingo. That's what it's all about. Yeah. So that was the advice. Get out of your own way. Best ever.
Yeah, I love that. What do you feel passionate about that you think other men should know?
Well, it comes in the coaching that I do here. I think it's doing blood work. Doing blood work, I think, is an essential one that is so simple to do, but it's very much overlooked. Guys are very bad at taking care of their health. That we let it go, and it's like, it's only when you're absolutely fucked that you're like, oh shit, I better do something here. And it's great to do all the exercise and all the eating and all that sort of stuff. That's brilliant to do, but let's look under the hood. One of the biggest killers, silent killers in men is prostate cancer. There's a simple blood test that you can do. You don't have to get the finger up the bum, but there's a simple PSA test that you can do just to monitor the growth factor of your prostate. So simple. That in itself is, I think, is 30 euro. And you can get that through Randex, which is a private blood testing company in Ireland. It's so simple nowadays. But yeah, do bloods, lads, do bloods. And in saying do bloods as well, like a lot of lads will be saying, well, if I do bloods, sure, I don't know what I'm reading. You don't need to know. But what you do need to do is get a blood, and it's a snapshot in time of where you are. If there's something a little bit out of whack, no problem. You don't shit the bed. What you do is you make an adjustment in your lifestyle. High cholesterol, let's change your diet. Your diabetes reading a little bit high. Okay, start walking. Do that for the next 3 months. Do something, make a little change, and then do your bloods again. What's changed? And that's it. Just do bloods on a regular basis. The more data you collect, the more you're going to understand your own health.
And we haven't really talked about it, but any training advice for men who are just starting out? Obviously, you've been in the fitness game a long time. I'm sure you've made every mistake under the sun. Like, what training advice would you give for someone starting out, or training advice that you'd give your past self?
Yeah, for me, I was a skinny little runt when I started training. I was like, the advice I would give myself if I start and training again is like, you don't need to train as much.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in the gym 5 days a week. You don't need that. You do need to eat more food, and you do need to monitor your nutrition. That's going to be an essential part for you growing muscle and getting strong. and eating the right food, not following these dirty bulks. That shit is just going to make you sick. So yeah, people starting out in the gym, you don't need to be in there every day. Like 1 hour, 3 times a week is fine. Is fine.
Yeah, so less is more in terms of your training, and especially if you're looking to put on strength, you're looking to put on size, make sure you're eating adequate amount of meals. Any advice in terms of, let's say someone is, someone is quite skinny, they find it hard to put on weight. Any particular advice in regards to that?
Yeah, for the skinny lads out there, stop focusing on all upper body stuff. Squat. You've got to train your legs, lads. You have to. Like, your quads, your glutes are the biggest muscles in the body. If they start gaining size, everything starts gaining in size. Plus, in the research in testosterone, what happens when you train your legs and do a heavy leg session is you get a decrease in your testosterone production. But what happens in the next 24 to 48 hours is you get an upregulation, you get an up spike in your testosterone. This is what's going to help you grow. And that it's leg training specifically that causes that. You still get it when you do your bench, and you still get it when you do your rows and stuff. But when you train legs, that's when you get the most dramatic effect.
Great advice. If people wanted to reach, let's say there's a lad listening to this who's, struggling with structures, kind of struggling to get their shit together, where can they find you? Where can they reach out? How can they reach out to work with you? Where else can they find information and content from you?
Yeah, so just simply on Instagram at Hennigan Coaching. And then I have the Facebook account, which is my full name, Damien Hennigan. Send me a DM there or a message. I'll help you out, 100%.
Thanks for watching. If you like that episode and you want to see more content like this, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you on the next one.